Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hersatility. I am your host, Danny Poso, and today's guest is somebody so special to me, someone who's become a true friend, honestly, by showing up for each other every single day in the gym, and at this point, both in and out of the gym, but a real accountability partner. Amongst many other things, today's guest is a dedicated mother who has gone through so many transitions of life. And one of the things that I admire most about her is the way that she has stayed true to herself and not succumbed to the pressures of conforming to what each of those roles and each of those different seasons look like for her, which we will get into today. But I would love to welcome Amanda to Hersatility. Hey, friend. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I am so excited. How are you feeling today, first and foremost?
I feel great. I feel rested. I feel happy. I'm sitting here talking to my bestie. And I'm so proud of you for the second season rolling out.
Thank you. Literally accountability partners. When I tell you guys, I'm usually good about showing up to the gym, being disciplined, but there are my days where I'm like, no, I'm going to sleep in. And she's like, no, you're not, because I'm going. So if I'm going, you have to go,
going.
and vice versa. So get you an accountability partner. If you were to pick like a word for this season of life right now to describe like your energy, your mood, your heart, what would that be?
Just one. I would probably say surrender.
Ooh.
Yeah. This season of, life just transition and pivoting and the unknown,
Which
just
we'll get
surrendering
into.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love to start with childhood because I feel like there are so many things often with like how we grow up that shape who we are today. So tell us a little bit about your childhood and specifically the ways where like you see in hindsight how it's shaped who you are.
Okay. So I do come from a pretty big family. I'm one of 8. There's 5 girls, there's 3 boys. Yes. I'm the oldest girl.
8 kids is crazy.
Like what were my parents
you imagine?
thinking? No, because I have 2 and
Fighting for our
chaos.
lives.
Yes. Like what is going on some days, a lot of days, most days. But so I have 7 siblings. I'm one of 8. The oldest girl. It was a lot of chaos, but it was a lot of love. It was always somebody to love. It was always someone to fight with, to play with. And I definitely think that coming from that big of a family definitely shaped me, and I see how those roots, helped me to be resilient in every facet of my life, in motherhood, but also in like you mentioned, the corporate world, in partnership with my partner, just because, in a big family, you got to adapt. You got to, even so despite true. Like the big community in a sense, like figuring out how to make your own lane at the same time. So I think it helped me to, value community, loyalty, like good things. And then also it's helped me look at how differently I want to do things too with parenting and in my relationship with my partner and stuff like that too. So I see how it being from a big family has shaped almost every aspect of my life.
It's so crazy how when we become adults, but then especially when we become parents, it's like revelations. And sometimes it's kind of like tough to realize like, oh, maybe I don't want what I thought I wanted, or maybe like this wasn't what I thought it was. But I feel like what you said directly aligns with or kind of reflects what your life has been thus far, in the sense of your community in each different role. Like, for example, in like corporate, it might have been like your coworkers. I feel like that becomes a strong community.
Yep.
And then becoming the partner of a professional athlete, get into that WAG life, and that's its own community. And now motherhood, you know what I mean? And it continues to expand. So walk us through a little bit of like where you started. So corporate.
Okay.
You were in the tech world.
Yeah.
How was that for you? And then transitioning to the next one, which would have been becoming a girlfriend of a professional athlete?
Yeah. So just a step before the tech world. So coming from a big family, you know, my parents are both blue collar workers. They're in their 60s and 70s at this point. Coming from a big family, there wasn't a lot of money to just be dishing out and stuff. Eight kids. So I was working probably since I was like 17, I think. I had my first job, and it was like at a tanning salon, which is ironic because, you know, I'm living by my spray tans. But in order to go to college, I had to, you know, figure out a way to pay for it, because
It's just a lot of pressure. That's crazy.
it's a lot of pressure. But and it's crazy because, you know, hindsight is always 2020. So like in the moment, it's like I didn't know any different. Like there wasn't another option. So it was like I was going to make do with what I had. So I started working for my college volleyball coach. I had gone to a junior college my first year because it was cheaper. I could live at home and everything like that. And he was a lawyer he had his own law firm. So I actually became his assistant, a lawyer's assistant. And that helped me literally, thank God, pay for school debt free, didn't have no debt coming out of college, which is, I know, huge because statistically speaking, thank you. You know, that's not the case a lot of times. So that was my job for, I think, about 6 years. And then when I finally graduated college, that's when I stepped into the tech world. And it wasn't something that I had planned on by any means. Like working for a lawyer, I thought maybe I wanted to go to law school. You know, there's so much different law you can practice. So I was like, maybe that would be the route. But, you know, God decides our steps. And so I entered into the tech world, which is so cool now because it's like, I didn't even realize the industry that I was getting into. And, you know, everything is technology these days. And so it's cool that I have those ties for if I ever did choose to go back to that world. But I was in the tech world for 8 years until I became a stay-at-home mom.
Which, like, if you know, you know, that's like a harsh, like, full 180.
Yes.
That's
I tried to hold on to it as long as I just feel like, so going back to the word of, you know, this season of my life of like surrender, that was even back then relevant to me then, because surrendering to that huge change and change in general, because change is hard and uncomfortable sometimes, you know, and I feel like I don't like change because it's comfortable to stay the same. But to your point, like surrendering to this is something that I get to shift and pivot and step into and give my all for my family in this season of life, in this chapter of life, was really hard for me. I like tried so hard. Like I didn't even quit my job until like after my technically maternity leave, because I was like, I'm gonna, you know, be able to do both. And then
that's a hard decision.
Yeah. And so, you know, obviously it came down to the fact that like when I sat down and prayed about it and prioritized like what our family's needs were at the time, you know, it just made more sense for me to fully give myself and step into the role of being a stay-at-home mom, and especially with a partner who is a professional athlete who's gone 99% of the time, you know what I mean? And then getting pregnant again so soon, it just made sense to.
And I applaud you for that, because I feel like there are so many misconceptions, which we'll get into, but people will be so quick to jump and be like, oh, you know, she's this, but it's like, in reality, we talked about this a lot in season 1, actually, how like a lot of the times, unfortunately, and I think we're working our way out of it sort of as women in a society in general, but we tie our identity to what we do for a living a lot of times, or our career paths.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's a big part of it, just in, you know, realistically. So you were this professional in the corporate world. That was a big part of you switching all the way to motherhood, and then trying to make that decision of, am I going to continue in all I know, which is, you know, a corporate
climbing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like doing this, and I'm sure like you're an ambitious person. I'm sure you had career goals and things you wanted to keep going. I'm sure a part of you did. Or am I going to fully devote myself to my family and my kids? And that's a tough decision to make. And while some may like I said, assume like, oh, you know, she's a wag, she's this, it's like that was actually a very selfless decision to make and sacrificial decision to make for you and your family.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And not only just for me was it like a societal pressure and like judgment and things like that, but tying back to like the upbringing that I came from, you know, like I said, my parents still are in grocery stores working jobs at 60 and 70 to this day. And so there was a lot of, you know, in my head, it's not that, you know, anybody in my family was saying anything, but it was like this almost guilt that I was carrying of like, I still have family members that are pinching pennies and things like that. And I'm just, you know, and therefore I was raised with this pressure in a way that was like to do better. You know, we always want our kids to do better. So like go to get the college degree, climb the corporate ladder, make as much money as you can, get as high into corporate as you can. You know, I really did have those viewpoints the same way, you know, but being able to surrender to, and a lot of prayer, obviously, like, I think that that's what gave me the most peace about it, on top of, you know, just like writing pros and cons lists and stuff. But yeah, it was a really hard and big decision. And to your point, you know, like you have the outside noise. It's like, oh, boo hoo, first world problem. Like, oh, God forbid you get to stay at home with your kids, you know, but it's like, once I blocked out all of that and it was just me and God in the room, and it was just me and Keith and my brand new newborn baby and stuff like that, it was easier. The pressure was off of it. And, you know, thank God that I was able to, you know, show up for my family the way that I've been able to those
No, it's
last
a
couple of
blessing.
years.
And it is a blessing, you know, to have that option, but it still is, you know, a selfless decision. So I do applaud you for that. And I can relate to what you said all too well. I think coming from like immigrant parents is like that mindset to always be hustling and always like be independent. Was there a part of you that struggled to submit and become like a stay-at-home mom in that regard of like, oh, subconsciously, you know, now I'm depending on another person.
Yeah.
Like he could be the best man he could be, but I think sometimes when you're raised with that mentality, it's really hard and takes honestly one hell of a man to really allow you to feel safe and be like, okay, I'm putting all my eggs literally in this basket.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, yeah, my heart is like a little bit fluttery just thinking back to those moments of like the fear of like what that would look like. And, you know, just, yeah, like you said, like putting that trust in somebody else to provide. And also, I don't know, I just feel like there's so many stories that I hear about where, you know, if you're a stay-at-home parent or partner or whatever, and there's limitations almost, and there's boundaries, and there's just like only bits and pieces that you get to live inside of with your partner. Shout out to my man, because he was the difference maker, like to calm all my fears, to really just calm all my fears about like what it would look like to have somebody else basically be in control of, you know, what income looks like basically, you know. But thank God for him, because I think if it was any other person, I don't know if it would look the same. And the way that he was able to make me feel comfortable to be a part of every financial conversation with our financial advisor, and bank accounts and names on, you know, different accounts, and his trust and all those types of things, like give me the peace and the security to know that like not only am I taken care of, but like a step beyond. It's not just like
It's ours and we're one.
It's truly
literally.
ours. And we just celebrated our 7th-year anniversary, and I wrote him this card. I wrote 7 things I loved about him. And one of those things was that he doesn't just, he like lives us. He doesn't talk about us. He doesn't like just like say, I love you as my partner and the mother of my children and my business partner in some, you know, regard and stuff. It's like he really truly lives every single aspect of that out. And it really brings me as a woman like peace and comfort in, knowing that despite me not having a quote unquote income tangibly, that like it is still
is yours.
Yeah. Like the money that he's out making right now and like in football and things like that is ours because I'm doing my part in like helping him be able to do that. So yeah.
I literally try to say this all the time to people. I'm like, I don't think often it's a matter of whether a woman, I mean, sometimes, right? But is a submissive woman or not. I feel like that's this like narrative that's thrown out there that these independent women don't know how to be submissive. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think one of the lessons that I actually learned from season 1 was like most women really do want to live like a soft life. But if you currently are single, we're not like back in the day. If you're single, you have to make a means for yourself. We're allowed to work, we're allowed to vote, we're allowed to do all the things. So we have to be independent. It's not like we have to be. So it really does, to my point and to your point of everything you just proved, it takes a special man for you to like come in. And I think once a woman feels safe, naturally we will submit regardless of how independent we are. And I love so much that like you have that and found that. And obviously Keith has like an incredible woman.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? And I just love that you guys complement each other so well and that you're in that space where you feel comfortable to make those big decisions and to like he set the stage for, by not just saying like, hey, it's ours, but showing you, no, this is ours. And now you literally pay it back. And you know what I mean? Like now he has this incredible woman who is like a fully devoted like mother and partner. And I just feel like that just quite literally creates the foundation for such a healthy and happy home. So I tell you all the time, like you're the real rich in life, and has nothing to do with money. It's literally like your family and you guys' home that you were able to create for yourselves. So
Thank you, friend.
I love that for you.
I still have my things that I'm working on all the time.
We all do. We all do. But trust me, I've seen way worse things. So you're fine. None of us are perfect. Either independently or as a couple, as a family, trust me. And I think you know that as well to be true.
Yeah.
But you mentioned societal expectations and pressures. Going kind of back to the corporate, I kind of want you to walk us through like they all differ in each of those seasons that you've been in. So when you're a corporate girly, as they say, you have certain expectations of you from society. Then when you switch to being even just like a wag, right? Those you have expectations. Then you're a mother, expectations. And now you're in a whole new season, which I'll kind of let you talk about too. But talk to me about those expectations and how you kind of navigated each one while still remaining like authentic to yourself.
Yeah. So specifically with my tech job, I worked with the military. And so my like accounts, I was specifically working with the Army and the Air Force. Obviously, the military is a male dominated industry. And then specifically in the tech world, I worked in sales, which was at least at the time, and I think it probably still rings to be true, even if a little bit less, was a very male dominated industry. Like I think I was like one of 2 women on the team. And so I feel like it was like twofold. It was like the societal pressures, but then it was also like pressures within the company too. And for the longest time, like I started dating Keith when I met Keith when I still had my tech job, obviously. And I remember like, I didn't even want to tell anybody that I was dating a professional athlete because I was like, I do not need
It's
you.
like judgment.
The judgment would go crazy and probably did, but I think I was like also like, so I didn't care, like safe in the relationship that y'all could say whatever you want and think my performance and how I showed up and my numbers at work and things like that proved the type of employee I was. But so yeah, for that, like I feel like there was, pressure to keep climbing the corporate ladder. And, part of that was like almost that was okay because it was like I had goals for myself and I wanted to keep going and I wanted to like prove, to other people. I wanted to prove to myself, like for me to keep climbing that corporate ladder and moving on up and stuff like that. But I also just think that, and like, again, going back to my family, like, it's like I wanted to make as much money as I could and hold the highest title that I could and keep going and keep going and keep going. But I think what helped me like stay grounded despite the pressures was just like keep revisiting. I mean, I think in this today, like self-care and self-love and things like that, it's like, so it's like part of it's like taboo almost, I feel like it's becoming, but coming back to myself and like the quiet space and like the personal goals and not just like what it looked like to work in society and in this corporate tech world or whatever, but like who I wanted to be as a person, who I wanted to show up in the workforce as, who I wanted to show up like just in general was always a priority for me. So it helped me to like not even almost feel a lot of the societal pressures, or at least balance them and be able to just like take them in stride almost, than to like succumb to the pressure and fold and, whatever that would look like.
So when you would sit with yourself,
Yeah.
like I want you to kind of expand more on that or explain. You're saying that helped you not fall into pressure because it would remind you of like how you wanted to show up. So how was that? Like, who did you want to show up as and what was important to you?
Yeah. So for thinking back to that time, which was a while ago at this point, but thinking back, I mean, I still bring it into honestly, like today, like I think I'm very much on, again, another thing that I think that comes up, like emotional intelligence, like self-awareness. That's something that's always been interesting to me. So like at those times when I'm like reading books about, how to be better in the workforce, but also like in order to be better even in any facet of life, I feel like is evolving and pivoting and growing within self. So what that looked like for me was just like the constant reminder of like growing the person that I wanted to look like. Like even though I was in this male dominated cutthroat industry, I wanted to be soft. I wanted to be kind, but also be able to come off as like fierce and like respected. Exactly. And so the more that I felt like I was consistent in making sure that I was like in those still having quiet moments, because a lot of that sales stuff is like so chaotic and like, your job might be 9 to 5, whatever, 8 to 4, whatever. It's like your phone is always on. They're paying for your phone so that you can be reachable at all the time and stuff. But like finding the balance of who do I want to be? Like I'm so much more than just like this corporate girly who's just being like run into the ground by the company and like making their numbers rise and stuff like that. Like staying true to like, what do I want to look like and who do I want to show up as every single day helps keep the focus on like the outside noise can be like pressure, but like that's not what you're focused on anyways. So don't worry about that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So did that, like you literally hit the nail on the head. And I love when we have moments like this where it's literally like, this is what Hersatility is all about, right? Like quite literally. But I feel like a lot of people go through those phases with not phases, I'm sorry, but like they're in those situations where, for example, they're in a male dominated industry, but maybe they are really soft, or maybe they're really girly, or maybe they also like are creative and they feel like they have to separate those things because they won't be respected or because they won't be taken serious. So what you're saying is basically your goals, once you sat with yourself and kind of gained that self-awareness and did that self-reflection, change from just like, yeah, I want to climb the corporate ladder, but that's not who I want to be. And the Amanda that I want to evolve into is way bigger than just this new title.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like thinking back to, obviously hindsight is always 2020. And like the older we get, the more wisdom, God willing, we have. But like I feel like at that stage of my life too, even as like feeling like I was like a kid, it's just like realizing it's not that serious. Like, this is not an end all be all for me. And sometimes, like, we've talked about this even in the gym and parenthood and stuff. It's like, I feel like we can't get like, you can't get stuck in just like that box. Like, there's just more that's outside of it, but sometimes like you just have to live through that to even see the outside of the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of my biggest learning lessons, as like us women do wear, how we keep talking about like so many hats, that even at that stage, I realized, like, you know, when I'm working as this corporate girly, like, that's my hat that I'm wearing, but it's okay to take that hat off. And then if I have these dreams and creative ideas to do something else, I get to put that hat on and like fully immerse myself in that. And leading that into like choosing to be a stay-at-home mother, that was like one of the learning lessons that I was able to kind of help weave my way into doing that, because it's like, yes, we can be all, do all, and everything, but sometimes like in certain seasons, in certain days, in certain chapters, like you take off a hat, you put another one on. Like, you don't have to be constantly stuck wearing one.
And I think that truly was like it was a big lesson when I reflected on the last season too, and I keep bringing it up, which honestly makes me feel good, because I'm like, it all ties together, right? But being okay and understanding that yes, we wear many hats, but at the end of the day, you're Amanda. So like the mom Amanda, the corporate Amanda, let's say they're super different, they're still like, the different kind of comes from those like societal norms and pressures. Like, you're still Amanda. So the Amanda that might be an amazing mom could still very well be an amazing tech executive, for example. And I think once women kind of let go of those pressures and accept like, I'm a badass mom, but I'm clocking into work now. Like, you know what I mean? And kind of like have that unapologetic authenticity. Like, I'm still me, and I'm still killing these numbers and meeting all your KPIs and changing diapers. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel like that's super cool to see. But talk to me about, okay, you're in the tech job.
Yeah.
And then you meet Keith while you're still working.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when did you, it wasn't until motherhood, you said, that you actually left your job.
Yeah. So I kept working despite knowing him, because I mean, at the end of the day, you can say,
yes,
but like, what am I going to, honestly, I talked to Julie. I had talked to Julie about this. Like, what would I be doing at home if I didn't have kids?
Yeah.
And she's like,
Pilates.
I'd be waking up, going to Pilates, and then I would be filming my content,
name a few things.
editing. Exactly. No, but for me, it just made sense.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
And I was still very much like proud of, you know, the job that I had, and there was just no reason for me to. I was flexible. I could work from home. I could work from anywhere. Like,
and he didn't put once. So we're gonna dive into then like the transition to motherhood. But once you became a mother, or even honestly, like as his girlfriend at first, once you guys started getting to a place where like you're getting closer, you know, like this is the one.
Yeah.
Was there ever a pressure of doing one or the other, or did he fully just leave it up to you and was like?
No, yeah, he definitely fully left it up to me. I will say, I've said this before, but I think one of the things that attracted Keith to me was, not like my job title, but like his mom works in the tech. Yeah, my ambition. And like, also, I think he respected especially the fact that I worked in the tech industry, because his mom still till this day works in the tech industry. So like he kind of like had an idea of like, oh, the type of job, just like probably had a picture of it. And he, you know, obviously his mom is a single mom too. And so respecting her for how hard she worked and what it looked like for her to be able to provide for her 3 kids by herself, you know, I know he thought it was very respectable what I did for work and stuff. So no, there was never any pressure to like pick one or the other. I think it honestly helped him respect me more, that I was able to juggle and not just like meet this person with a bunch of money and think that I was just gonna like put my feet up, you know, like that. It's just not who I am as a person and not my background. Like, but when I did get pregnant with Lenny, And in like the first half of my pregnancy, I don't know if you ever had this, but they told me I had placenta preva. And so like you got to go on like partial bed rest. Like you can't work out, you can't have sex, like you can't, like a bunch of different things, because it's like risking the placenta detaching. And so, you know, when that had come up, yeah, he was like, and then I would be stressed out with work and stuff, because I would put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, you know, highly. And he was like, you know, if you need to quit, like do that, like just be with the baby, like, you know, your pregnancy and taking care of yourself. And I'm thinking to myself, like, no, like, no.
Which to me, like now is so crazy to me to think of like how almost normalized it is to be fully pregnant and like expected, because times have changed so much. So like the expectations of a modern day woman are just completely different, but like expected to continue like life as you know it.
It's crazy.
Working, all of the things, like the fact that, and I relate to that. Like, of course, what else am I going to do? Like, I have to continue working. They're expecting deadlines I still need to meet, but it's like, I don't know. I think we're just so normalized, like a pregnant woman, but it's like in hindsight, I look at pregnancy and I'm like, you're
growing life,
growing organs inside, and like building
crazy.
a little baby human. You're out of breath, you could barely walk, you can barely talk like normally.
God forbid you have like one of the symptoms of like throwing up all the time.
And what you just said too, nausea in the first trimester, talk about it. And then what you just said, the placenta, so many things. And it's kind of just like, even on the postpartum side of things, it makes me so sad when I see mothers that have no choice but to drop their newborns off in daycare because they have to work, because they have to help pay the bills or pay the bills themselves in some situations. And it's like
sickening.
This world it's just a little crazy, and women are truly like superheroes. And I think I didn't really truly see the magnitude of that until I became a mother. Like, for sure. Wow, it definitely puts things into perspective. So diving into becoming a mom and navigating motherhood, how was that for you? How was postpartum? You now have 2 beautiful babies, so like did it differ with each one of them? How was it?
So when I first had Lenny, our daughter, oh my gosh, it was just like newborn bliss. Like I think that I don't know, I feel I've let go of it now, but I've even felt like there's been pressure to be like, I lost myself in motherhood, and I don't feel like that. I never felt like that. And I truly just feel like I embraced being a new mom and having a new baby, and what that looked like in that chapter for me was my baby, and like, I love that. Just nurturing her and relearning to love the new, because we know the body changes, the mind changes, everything. So with her, I really just feel like, I think it was twofold. I think I didn't really have any postpartum blues, nothing like that. But I also did get pregnant pretty quickly after. She was only 7 months. And so I also am like, maybe I didn't give it enough chance to like really know. I don't know.
Perfect. I mean,
so I want to say like it was just like bliss with her. And coming from a big family, it was very natural. Like being the oldest of the 5 girls and babysitting jobs growing up, things like that. Like I loved it. I love motherhood though. And then I had our son, and again, twofold. I think that in healing from all of it, having 2 babies back to back, I mean, scientifically things like they tell you at your postpartum, you know, appointment stuff. Like don't have another baby for 2 years or whatever they say, you know, so like obviously your body goes through. I didn't know
they tell you that.
Yes, I think it's 2 years. I feel like I want to say it's 2 years.
It's almost better, I would think, to like just
get it back to back.
Back to back.
They say like your body genuinely has to heal. Like it's just so idea. And then now that I've also dived into like work of our hormones changing and how long it truly can take. It doesn't maybe happen with everybody, but like everybody's different, you know. It can take your hormone. First of all, it says it takes your body truly 2 years to heal from postpartum, fully heal.
Even
and then
mentally, I think, emotionally, all the things, hormones.
Yes, and that's, I think, what took way longer for me than like any physical aspect of it. But yeah, with K3, twofold, you know, having babies back to back. I was at home with a freshly 1-year-old, bringing home a newborn baby, and it was in the middle of Keith's quite literally busiest season. Like, he wasn't even living at home.
Was it COVID?
No. So it was coming out of COVID, which was, so it's 2022. So it was technically out of COVID, but like, for example, my doctor's office here in Atlanta, everything else was open. Restaurants, strip clubs, like,
because we live in Atlanta.
Grocery stores. But my doctor's office was still closed for like, Keith never could come to a doctor's appointment with me. It was so... hate that for me. So I do need to have one more friend. Like, he can come to all my appointments. But anyways,
baby number 3 on the way. No.
But yeah, so after that, so Keith was in training. It was in the middle of training camp. We didn't have any help. That's kind of like a sidebar. Also, coming from a big family, not having help. My parents didn't trust anybody else to watch us, so they worked opposite ends of the day. My mom worked through the night. My dad worked during the day, so that no one outside of our home would have to be with us, like watching us and stuff. And so talk about surrender. Like, I was unwilling to surrender to help at that time. And so he came along in football season, and it was really hard on me. I struggled a lot. Like, the thing that I think that I suffered with the most was postpartum rage. And I just felt like inside raging all the time, like after every little thing after K3. Okay. So I have a newborn. I have a freshly 1-year-old. Like, you can imagine the chaos that is. And so when I'm feeling crazy in my head, like raging at every and any little thing.
The overstimulation.
Oh my gosh, it was just so hard. And then K3, around 4 or 5 months, he got RSV, COVID, and the flu all back to back to back. So he was on breathing treatments. Like, he wasn't sleeping through the night. I wasn't sleeping through the night. I have this 1-year-old. Thank God for my village, because one thing about my family is we are always going to show up for each other. We're so close. Somebody, a sister, a parent was always, you know, by my side. Thank God for them, because my mom, especially, like that first 2 months, I think she still worked her job. So we would fly her home for 2-3 days to work. She would get right back on a plane, come back to us.
Shout out to moms, because there really is nothing, especially as a new mom, there's nothing like having your mom. Like, I think back and I'm like, I don't know what I would have done. And my heart goes out to the moms that don't have their moms, either because of proximity or whatever the case is. Yeah. Because
I don't know how to do it without her. Yeah. Yeah. Her mom actually passed away when she was pregnant with me. So she only had her mom for 2 kids out of the 8. And so I'm just like, I don't know how you did this. But yeah, so it was hard. And, in that season, though, I became vocal about it. Like, I was like, I'm struggling. This is hard. This is ugly sometimes.
Vocal, do you mean like to your village, to Keith?
To, yeah, everybody. Everyone? Social media. And, you know, I think some judgmental people could like side eye it, but I didn't feel any of that. Like, all I saw were the moms who were writing me, thank you for speaking up about this. Thank you for the people that weren't moms. Like, thank you for letting me know that this is an option. Like, because I didn't know. Like, thank God my mom, like when I talked to my mom about it, she claims she did not experience any postpartum depression, anxiety, any of that. So like, there was like a little bit of a struggle of like, why am I feeling this way? Like, what is wrong with me? But at the same time, I gave so much of myself into like the research of pregnancy and like just education and knowledge of around it. So I knew that was a possibility, but not experiencing it with Lenny, it was a little confusing having it with K3, but I'm glad that I did, because I've had so many friends, people I don't know, reach out and just be like, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing and what it looked like for you, and that it was hard and that it was chaotic and ugly and sometimes, because I'd never seen that in anybody else. It's just like newborn baby bliss, and you're supposed to be just loving your baby and nothing else matters. And, you know, like you're just, you know, living on cloud nine. And for some moms, that's not the case, you know? And so I don't know, now that I've had one of each, like a pretty simple postpartum and then like a kind of chaotic, crazy one, I'm like, you know, another reason, like, I wonder what the third would be like.
You just want a third baby because,
A friend,
look, surrender,
the Lord says,
whatever he says.
be fruitful and multiply.
Period. You don't have to convince me. Paloma could use another little friend.
Bestie.
Yes. Can you expand? Because I feel like people viewing this, to your point, either A, maybe going through something similar and will feel like very seen, like, oh, it's not just me, I'm not crazy, I'm not a bad mom, etc.
Yeah.
Or B, someone who I feel like there are so many things after I had a baby. I'm like, nobody, both physical,
Why didn't
emotional,
anybody
everything,
tell
mental.
me?
I'm like, is this normal?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what? Nobody told me this. I didn't know this would happen to my body. I didn't know I would be feeling like this.
Yeah.
I didn't know, you know, this was a part of it. So can you expand a little bit on, I guess, how you did maybe back then too, on what that was like for you? Like, what were some of like the lowest moments of that season?
Oh my gosh. There's so many to count, but there's too many to count. But, you know, what I'll say too is I kind of felt that way. Like, why didn't nobody tell me? Because I did read a lot about postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, but rage was not one of the things that I feel
didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, and neither did I. I was just like, oh my God, I'm just like this. Now I'm like this like angry, evil mom, human being. Like, and if you know Keith, like he is a soft,
I was
kind.
literally about to say, as those words are coming out of your mouth, sorry to interrupt you, it's like, I think that's also super important to explain or educate men because
yes.
unfortunately nowadays you see so many relationships ending as soon as a child is popped out, which is the saddest thing.
Statistically.
Yes, and it's so sad and seems so backwards, but it's also like that, like these women, your wives, your girlfriends, your partners, they are not themselves.
Yeah.
Honestly, right after they have a baby for at least 2 years, to your point, like whether they're just, it comes up, like you said, depression, anxiety, rage, it could be anything, but it's like really having grace for those women and creating a safe space is so important for men to get together.
Yeah. Everything about that season was so hard. I mean, it was hard on me and Keith. Like, he's coming home after 12, 13, 14 hour work days to this like just beat up, like angry, overstimulated partner, you know, for the longest and for what seemed like the longest, you know. And as somebody who is like just so kind and gentle and forgiving, and the way that he set me up for success in the postpartum, and it's like nothing could make me happy. Like, he had weekly flower arrangements sent. He was having meal prep people come in and make sure that I was cooked for. We ended up, he finally was like, sat me down and was like, I know you can do it. Like, I know you don't need help. I know. But this is for me. Like, this is so that I don't come home from these long work days and like I see where you could have gotten help that like you're just choosing not to. We ended up hiring a night nurse so I could get like a couple hours of sleep. So I would just say that, so shout out to him. Like, he really was such a pillar for me to like stay sane and want to do and be better and feel better. And a lot of it though is like, I truly am a believer in, is like out of our control. Like, our hormones, like it's not just like I'm gonna wake up and not have rage.
And
like,
it sounds crazy, especially because I'm very much a person of like, okay, yeah, I have felt anxiety. I know what depression feels like, but guess what? I'm here. I push through. I'm here. But for some, that kind of gives me insight to people who maybe are like more clinically diagnosed or like just have a deeper level of these things. Because when you go through something like that postpartum, it's so hard to explain to people. Like, it really is out of your control. Like, and then you if you're anything like me, you look back and you're like, you feel guilty because you're like,
Yeah,
how am I living such a
100%.
blessed life?
Yes,
I
I
have these
feel
weekly
this way.
flower
Yeah,
arrangements. I
just
have this
everything.
help, and I'm still mad. And then you get even more like
No,
sad and
seriously.
down and mad because you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, why
No,
do I feel like this?
literally 100%. I felt like that for a really long time, like longer than I care to admit. Like it was really hard, but and you know, I don't know because I often think back about it because I do carry this guilt and a little bit of shame around it, you know, as like when I look at K3 now and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wish I could go back because I would have been like such a better mom if I know now what I knew then. But like just also letting go of the guilt and the expectation of yourself in that season. Like just like now that that it happened and I've been through it, I don't know if somebody else told me, like, just keep going, like, just little things, like, little 1% each day, like, just keep pushing through it. And, like, you're gonna feel normal again. You're gonna get through it. You're gonna feel better. I don't know. I didn't have somebody tell me that, but, like, I don't know if I would have even believed them in that season. You know what I mean? So the only thing that I feel like I could really say to somebody either in that season or maybe like not a mom that might potentially go through that season is just to like take, like, it's so cliche to be like, take it day by day, like take it.
No, day
take
by
it
day was my mantra during postpartum.
day by
And I don't
day.
even think I had like super postpartum
Yeah.
depression. It was just kind of like, you know, what I was going through at the time and all the things. I was literally every day by day.
It doesn't seem so daunting if you're like reminding yourself, like even if you have like a little sticky note in your mirror when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, like day by day, like small little things like that, I feel like go such a long way. And then before you know it, you're out of it. And then you're like, oh my God, I wish I could go back. And like, you know what I'm saying? But I really didn't have somebody to tell me even that, like day by day. But I think that if I had those small reminders and not looking at it and questioning myself, like, why do I feel like this? Why am I so angry? And now 6 months have gone by and I'm still feeling like crazy and not myself and all of those things. Like, we talk about like self-care and self-love and making sure that you are showing up for yourself in those especially those times. This is something that comes up a lot for me lately. Two of my little sisters just had kids in the last 6 months, and so I talk about this with them often, and thank God neither one of them are having any of the type of stereotypical postpartum feelings or anything like that. But I think when you just look at it as a moment by moment, like smaller than day by day, just showing up like how you can for yourself, for your baby, for your family, like moment by moment, and letting go of like, oh, I messed up that moment, like not dwelling and focusing on the next one. Like those small things are gonna, like, I think take a person a long way, and you'll be better because of it, because like you're intentional about not like, oh, what I just look like as a postpartum mom and like and the bigger picture, but like those small moments are gonna, being intentional about them, are gonna build for like a much better, bigger picture in the long run.
And I think that notion of making sure you're not dwelling, for me, not only during my postpartum journey and everything I went through after that, but in life, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned that has made a significant difference in just life is not being stuck in those areas, not dwelling, especially with mom guilt.
Yeah.
And having grace for yourself.
Yeah.
And I can sit here and think about, I didn't play with Paloma long enough yesterday, and make myself feel guilty. Actually, it's so funny. I just saw on TikTok, all I do is cry on that app. It was literally a video that said, don't be so busy giving them a good life that you forget to give them a good day. Literally, I could cry now thinking about it, but it just, because you just feel so guilty.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, feeling guilty is not going to give them a good day either. You know what I mean? Just fix it, correct it, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Especially if it's your first time doing it. But I think that's a huge part of releasing mom guilt, for me at least, because I think we all kind of feel it one way or another, and it's really hard to not. So
Well, and when you think about it, it's like the moments and energy you spend towards thinking, being guilty and feeling guilty is like wasted energy that could be used towards, okay, you know,
Let's do it
acknowledging
now.
it,
Yeah.
letting it sit there. Okay. Moving forward, next time I'm going to set aside this specific, I'm going to put on an alarm on my phone
Yeah.
and make sure I set aside 20
Yes.
minutes just to play with her. Like, you know what I
literally,
mean?
that's a goal of mine. Is like I saw a podcast that was like, all your kids need is like at minimum 20 minutes of uninterrupted, no screens, just like not telling them no, just doing whatever they want. And I think that I made that like a new goal of like, just because it's easier said than done,
Oh,
which just
yeah.
sounds so sad, especially because I
Yeah.
work, you know, all the things, but it's like that. And with the whole mom guilt is like, just for anyone out there too, I don't think you can avoid it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So I think just what we're saying now is the best way to quote unquote like overcome that mom guilt that
Yeah.
is inevitable, I
Yeah.
think, to all of us.
Yeah, being intentional about like, okay, when it does come, acknowledging it, letting it sit in the room, and moving forward.
Yes. Would you say that that season of life that you just kind of touched on has been your lowest?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just like it made me like question like, was I made for this? Like, was I not supposed to be a mom? Like it just make like my mindset, like the things that, and you know, I think a lot of it is like the devil trying to, you know, the devil's one of the biggest things that he wants to do is to tear apart families. So like if he can get me worn out and angry and all these things and break up me and Keith and then our family is broken up, like that's what the devil wants, you know? So I definitely think that that was the lowest, which is scary to think about having another baby again because it's like, well, this is the possibility. But I do think that I'm like equipped in so many more ways. And with Keith transitioning out of the league now too, and having his help a little bit more would make things look totally different anyways. But hindsight being 2020, like just feeling more like better prepared and knowing that like if these feelings come up again, how I can like combat them and be better in that way. Yeah, it would look different, but it's still a little scary.
Yeah. Well, you kind of organically transitioned into what I was going to ask you about next, which is like this new season of life.
Yes.
Keith is now retired. You've mentioned baby number 3 just about 3 times so far, I think, in this.
I was not planning on that either, so that's crazy.
So where are you now? How, I know you said your word is surrender. So like, what does life look like for you now? I feel like you kind of hinted at you feel more of yourself.
Yeah. More than
Maybe possibly ready for another baby. You guys, like I said, are retired now. Tell us about this current season.
I love this season. I'm just, there's so much, we are truly stepping into this season with so much peace. And thank God, another theme, thank God for my man. You know, he's set us up so intentionally years before he retired from his 10 years in the NFL to be able to sustain the life that we have and to also, like, God willing, continue building something that will outlast our lives for our kids and their kids and things like that. But yeah, we're in a chapter of transition. Keith wrapping up his 10 years in the league, me truly feeling completely back to myself, all the postpartum stuff gone, being able to step into this chapter that's often, I think, stereotypically one that guys and families usually step into with fear and uncertainty, unknown, and almost like there's like so much negative, there's like a negative stereotype for a good reason. A lot of people don't know how they're going to pay the bills next, how they're going to sustain the lifestyle that they've been living.
Is a wild concept to me. Like, there's no way you should go from being a millionaire, multimillionaire to
Broke.
Worried.
Yeah.
Like,
Worried.
or broke.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And that's something super important, I think, for everyone really, but especially like some of these athletes is like, be smart about your finances.
Yeah. And it's sad though, because now that we've lived the life for the last decade, the NFL has not done a good job in providing the resources to set them up for success afterwards. Now, thank God, Keith is a part of some missions that are truly educating these guys to be able to start thinking from your rookie year, like where you can be investing money, where money that can just sit and grow for you while you're still playing, you know what I mean? Things like that. Like before there's even been these new founded groups that have missions to teach the guys like how to invest and how to not go broke after the league or whatever. It's been a personal passion of his. Like literally once he started learning about the stuff that he's been doing, the commercial real estate, the development side of that, about 6 or 7 years ago now, like all he's wanted to do is bring his brothers with him.
I really love that.
And he's so passionate. That space is just predominantly white, and if you don't have a connect into that world, you're really not getting in. So for him, it's like, not only is it about seeing his NFL brothers like be able to be successful for after the league, it's for his Black brothers specifically,
people of color. I talk about it all the time, where it's like financial literacy has become such a big thing, because I'm like, I hate that it took me 30 years to learn some of the things that I've learned. And I can't fault my parents for that. They did enough by literally just being immigrants to a country they couldn't even speak the language and made a life for us. That's enough. You know what I mean? But I hate that we are not exposed, or all those things you learn coming up in school, don't use a single one of them. Where was the financial literacy at?
It's so sad.
And especially, I think that's so important what Keith is doing, especially in those fields too, right? Like, with these individuals who are being given a lot of money, it's something honestly record labels should probably put in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
The leagues, to your point, and really just in general, just like education on financial literacy, specifically for like people of color, minorities that simply weren't exposed to some of the things that's like you could have been doing all along. And I thank God that I'm finally starting to educate myself and like starting to build generational wealth for Paloma now. And I think I'm like, I just imagine had my parents, you know, had our parents.
Had they known, they're told.
They even know.
They don't even like.
Because if you even know, you can start when your baby is you can start before your baby's born.
Yeah.
And pennies, right? You don't have to be making a lot of money.
Yeah.
But certain, you know, we just talked about this, like certain accounts, certain things. There are certain wealth building methods that we truly just aren't educated on.
Yeah.
So I love that he's doing that.
Yeah, it's been really cool. So like in this season, that's been a mission of ours to, again, be building something that outlasts our lives and, you know, can be passed down to our kids and their kids and their kids and things like that. But this season has just been so freeing, so in so many different ways. Like, not only is he just not beat up all the time and tired all the time and stuff, he's able to just, even despite like me, if I'm tired, everybody's gonna feel that I'm tired. Like him, like you're not gonna know, kind of thing. But just to be able to see like a weight lifted off of his talk about pressure, like, you know, that's being a professional athlete in the NFL, everything like that, especially with his journey of not being drafted and his position and stuff. Just seeing that lack of pressure has just been so nice to see. I'm so happy for him. And I'm so happy that he gets to step into this season due to himself, like, and the work that he's put in such a peaceful way. So we are just busy though with figuring out what it looks like for us next. We're talking about, you know, obviously he's already set up in a lot of ways. So he's just working, and he still is busy, just in a different, it just looks a little bit different. And then for me, like talking about, you know, my potential play cafe. Me and my sister have talked about doing like a coffee trailer of some sort, like a pop-ups, you know, we talked about the pop-ups and stuff. So yeah, just figuring out like maybe another baby, but it just feels so like there's no pressure. There's like, we really get to just be dreamers and like, but also intentional about like what different types of ways it could look like, traveling, just enjoying life and like reaping the harvest of what 10 hard working years in the NFL look like for him. So yeah.
I love this era for you.
Thank you.
For you and Keith and your little ones.
Yeah, we're blessed.
I think it's such a such a blessing. And I love to see you step into this new era, especially with such like calmness and peace and like joy in your heart.
Thank you.
Especially after such a long run, to your point just now about Keith in the NFL. I know it's something we talk about often, and you being like in that era. What are some of the misconceptions that you feel like come with being an NFL family?
Oh, there's so many, but Keith and I were talking about it not too long ago, where a big misconception is like life is just rainbows and butterflies. Like, you don't have any worries. Like, you make good money and a lot of money. So like, what could you ever possibly be sad, angry, struggle with? You know what I mean? That like life is just perfect. I think that's probably the biggest misconception. And I guess I could see, you know, coming from a family that didn't have a lot of money, like I could see how easy it is to like make those assumptions and stuff. But we're still very much human beings, just like anybody else, like with the same insecurities, with the same struggles, with the same postpartum rages and depressions, like the same childhood trauma that creeps into daily life, relationships, how you show up for people and your family every single day. I think another big misconception is that one of the things that I took in stride was coming into his world with a tech job, with a job, period. And one that I feel like you could be really proud of, because I think a misconception is like you do end up with an athlete and like you just get to put your feet up and go shopping every day and wake up and like whatever. And there are some women, and all the more power if that's their, you know, prerogative to live that way or whatever. But I took a lot of pride in that. And especially at the time he was playing for a California team, the Raiders were in Oakland. And so when I started dating him, my work days over there were 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. because I was working East Coast hours. So it's like, I think one of the misconceptions was that people thought that, oh, I started dating this NFL athlete, I was just out in California going to Pilates in the morning and sleeping and shopping the rest of the day or whatever. But I was still just as ambitious and hardworking and had my own dreams and goals, despite, you know, God picking my significant other to
hate some
athlete.
of those assumptions.
Oh my gosh.
Because you literally just you just reminded me of like even so when just back in the day when I would obviously have jobs and was in my previous relationship, I feel like the jobs would almost look at me like, oh, she doesn't need this job, not knowing that like I absolutely when I wasn't even in, you know, that situation, like totally different, but just off of assumptions, literally. And I don't want to like get into too many other details, but like I hate that kind of like judgment comes with these things that are good things ultimately at the end of the day, or maybe blessings, but it's like not everything is what you think it is at the end of the day.
No, not at all. And it's just funny because it's like, I mean, you can't fault people for having their judgments and assumptions or whatever. It's like just such an eye roll to me at this point, because I feel like I've heard it all at this point. But I mean, even within families though, like even within your family, there are very much misconceptions. We you know, I do the co-parenting thing, and even there it's just like,
oh yeah, because
you know, there's been the assumption
with your bonus child.
Yes, there's misconceptions all over the place. And again, like, it's, I guess, not their fault. It's just annoying, but like unbothered.
And I love that. I don't think you take your position for granted at all. And I think that even you speaking on the way that you guys are, you know, paying it forward, I think you and Keith are truly just have good hearts at the end of the day. So unfortunately, the truth of it is there are people in those positions that, you know, I don't want to say don't deserve it because I don't have that mentality for people, but just aren't paying it forward in the way that you guys are, or do take it for granted in some way. So all the more power to you guys. I love to see it. I know we've been yapping forever now, so I do have some questions to close us out. One of them being, what was the biggest lesson that motherhood taught you about yourself?
That it's okay to not be okay.
I love that.
And that not being okay doesn't mean that you can't still show up with grace and love and kindness.
I love that. I'm like letting it sink in and remembering when I was in those moments too, in particular. But yeah, in general, like it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And you don't have to,
So
like,
many
your
things
world
came
isn't
to
over. It
mind,
doesn't
but-
have to end. You don't have to stop it all. Like,
Yeah.
you can still show up with the small percentage you have in the ways that you can.
Yeah.
You don't have to be super mom all the time, and it is okay.
Talking about like the pressures of society and just everything. Like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Life's going to go on.
Amen. And I think you, like many of our guests, that I'm so lucky to have on here, are like a true testament to hersatility. So I always kind of wrap the episode up with, what does hersatility, which in this case is just like being multidimensional, being adaptable, which you literally have talked about this whole time and in all your different seasons. But what does hersatility mean to you?
Hersatility means to me that we can do it all. We can be it all. We can wear all the hats, but that it's also okay to know when it's time to put one down and pick a different one up.
I love that. I love that. And different timings, different seasons. But yes, we can do it all. I love it. Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks for
friend. Did I
having me,
miss
friend.
anything?
I don't
Is there
think
anything
so.
else you want to leave the audience with? I feel like you have so much to give.
I don't think so. I feel like we covered
Yeah.
everything that I can think of.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm
Thanks,
so happy. You're one of the first people I'm having on for season 2. So I'm super excited and super grateful that you came on.
Thank you, friend, and thanks for doing this. This is what all of us women, moms, everything, all the hat wearers need to hear. So thank you.
Amen. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Hersatility. You guys can follow us on Instagram, TikTok at Hersatility, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you like, comment. I love to hear all the feedback, love to hear all the thoughts, and I love getting questions. So feel free to leave comments below and make sure you tune in next time. Thank you.